Welcome back to Is It Wrong? The traffic of girls in a dungeon. Anime review episode 25. Yes, my 25th episode of the series. Like, I guess it was kind of predictable when this series came back that, hey, I was going to hit 25. Yep. And for my 25th episode of this review series, I'm reviewing the 40th episode of the anime, which is known as Parasite, Viscum album. Yes, and I looked this up. This episode steps up the entirety of chapter 4 and about halfway through chapter 5 of book 12. Now, we begin with a bit of a recap of last time. Now, one thing I've got to point out at the start of this is just me, or is JC staff using American music for this episode? Because when I was watching this episode, I was listening to the music, and I'm like, that sounds like American soundtrack music. It's good music. I appreciate them using it, but it just seems kind of weird that JC staff would use American music for this thing, not usually Japanese music. My guess is the staff they must really love American music so much some of the soundtrack stuff, some of the booming stuff that basically we see in some movies, they just threw this episode because they recapped the fight scenes from the last episode, the end of last week. So this episode picks up exactly where left off, where we see that Chesida and the adventurer Bill met just a couple episodes ago. Well, they're infected by this weed. So basically, we do have it where Cassandra is basically using this special healing thing, and it's not working. It's a solar energy thing, and all it does is basically just it's not working. So Bill points out, though he's Zeus in this situation, he wants everybody to come with like throw some ideas around, and Wolf agrees. Basically, he's good for combat, but basically make a decision like this, like what to do next. He can lead the expedition, no problem. It's just that this situation requires ideas from everybody, and Wolf agrees. So Cassandra comes with two interesting ideas: go to the surface or fight the monster. They all agree to fight the monster. Though when they get to the monster, they actually don't. They do find a little bit. So basically, they do mention the guy, the adventurer Lavar, I think his name is. He mentions that his friends were basically left behind, and he does reveal the reason why that monster was after him. If there is a Hogue Moss, and the reason why it's so strong. Now in the book, the equivalent is basically him being a level 4 monster, basically the same level as Bell, which they cut out of the anime. And there's also a reference to the Xanos. Yes, the creatures who showed up during the last season of the show. Yeah, for some reason, mention of them is cut for this episode. Not really sure why, but it is. So, they proceed to go find the elves. Meanwhile, though, the Hogue Moss just finds the elves pretty quickly, smashes the thing, and apparently smashed something. Because next time you see them, they're covered in, one's covered in moss, and the other two are very heavily injured. One of them, of course, infected with the stuff. They do find him, and of course, Belle ends up fighting him, while, of course, they come with the ingenious idea to have Belle and Aisha fight the monster, and a lot of the rest of them some basically go rescue the elves, and some basically stay behind protecting the injured, which is all Lily's idea of doing. Yes, Lily the strategist. So, Belle ends up finding the creature by himself, and of course, Aisha finds out the water monsters are there. Then Belle is using the firebolt on him. I kind of figure, though, like, if you don't read the book, you're like, why couldn't you use the fireball in the last episode? And apparently he's on fire, but he doesn't want to go out just yet, so basically he drags Belle into the water with him and shoves him off a freaking waterfall. I'll get to more back to him in a minute, so Lily wants to go after him, but Aisha stops her. So they all agree, don't save him, he basically is alive. He has faith in it, and of course, you know that Miss Gill can't sense her, so they come up with the idea to have Aisha go to her, which is on the 18th floor, and everybody else goes straight to the cliff. They went to the cliff thing when they entered the 25th floor just last episode. So they're planning to go there. And for our base operations, which basically this dialogue was given to Lily in the episode. In the book, it was Wolf who basically said this dialogue of testing, come with the idea of going there. So they agreed to that. And they, of course, they move out, and then, of course, they come across more adventurers. And it's the other adventurer that Belle met just a couple episodes ago, and they're also infected with this parasite. Meanwhile, though, Belle ends up basically on another level. My guess is this is my guess. I think he might be either on the 20s. He's probably on the 27th floor, because they do mention that the Great Falls take up 3 floors, 27, 25, 26, and 27. So my guess is on 27, he's able to survive thanks to a potion he takes. And ends up fighting basically a bunch of birds who ends up flying at him. He has pretty much all of them. And this way he gets wounded. And, well, he's able to recover. He's still able to move thanks to the potion he's able to have. And then the episode ends quite interestingly with having come across a mermaid. Yep, a mermaid. And believe it or not, they actually end. Now, this is what the mermaid looks like in the book. Yeah, that's the mermaid he comes across. Which, in the book, they do confirm she's a Xanos. In the anime, they don't mention that for some reason. Now, the one thing I don't really get, though, about the season as far as, like, okay, I get the fact that Xanos were a big part of last season's show. Why are you not referencing this season? Because they're referenced several times in the book. And here, there's no mention of it. Not sure why. And in case you're curious, does she pop up in any of the books? No. Excuse me. They just referred to that Hog Moss as an enhanced monster. There's no mention of Xanos, which I think is kind of dumb, because you just explored the local concept of that creature just last season. If that was the case, why did you have Fells appear in the opening episode? I mean, he's only there just to remind people season 3 happened. It's almost like the staffers who work in the season are embarrassed by season 3. Maybe because, and this is my personal theory, I think they're embarrassed by the fact that the last episodes were a bit rushed. That's my personal theory anyways. Or the fact that they basically adapt some sequences of the final book out of order. That is just my personal guess. I don't know what the reason is why JC's staff, well, not the company per se, the people work on these episodes. It's like either they're embarrassed by the last season or they just don't care. I mean, by far the most important sequence they cut out of here for no explained reason was Hermes. The whole thing with the exchange between Hermes and Belle. I think, in my opinion, so far, that was an absolute terrible idea to do because that was important for the character. And they cut it. They kept the Feld scene in, completely intact, but no Hermes. I think it's quite dumb. But aside from that, so far, they've done a pretty faithful job adapting book 12 so far. I mean, they already adapted the first 4.5 chapters in just 3 episodes, which isn't that bad per se. No, not really. I mean, aside from the fact they cut up the stuff with this, like in the case of this episode, aside from the Xanos stuff, they mostly keep everything there. I mean, not much else cut from here per se. And, well, though the only thing else they changed from here is who got dialogue. They give that out to Lily. I do have a theory about that. Now, I don't mind a female character getting dialogue that originally belonged to a guy. And this is my person. I think JC's staff, people who work in so, they must really love Lily. They must love the character so much. They gave her a little more dialogue in this episode than they gave them the actual what they were. From the material they adapted from, she probably has, from what I can tell, she had a little bit less dialogue than she had in the actual original material. Here in the episode, she's got a lot more dialogue, and she definitely gets a good amount of screen time. And now in the book, now the way that the translator referred to as, now in the case of Aisha, in the anime they refer to as Lady Aisha, in the book is Miss Aisha. I'm not really sure why. Now in the book and anime, she does refer to Belle as Master Belle. Yes, she is one of 2 who do that. The other, of course, is Mystico. They're the only 2 who do in fact do that. Everybody else refers to as simply Belle. Now, as far as I can tell, Belle has no problem being called Master Belle. He's never corrected on that. He never corrected, just don't call me that. He, as far as I can tell, in 40 episodes, both in sub and dub, he has no problem with these 2 referring to him as Master. No problem at all. There's never an issue there at all. Not really. Oh, there is a reference here to Aisha, which I do appreciate adding that in. Yes. Given the fact she does not play a role in this arc at all, no, she doesn't. Which is interesting that she doesn't. I mean, she plays sort of a supporting role in the first, 11 books. Here, no role for her at all. My guess is because they're busy doing somewhere in the spin-off books, even though a lot of the time doesn't focus on her. That's the problem with the Sword of Roya books, is the fact they're supposed to focus on Aisha, but they don't focus on her that much. I mean, aside from seeing her in the open title sequence, aside from the brief flash image, it's going to be highly doubtful we're going to see her this season because she does not play a role in this story arc. But we're going to see a return of a character, Gail Wynn. We're going to see her here because, of course, she plays a role in book 13 and 14. And I'm very much looking forward to what they do with her this season. Hopefully, they actually try to adapt book 13. Now, if you're curious, though, how long is book 12? You might be thinking, okay, so book 12 is 245 pages. They are adapted to pretty much 158, and this is just in 3 episodes. Yes, 3 episodes they pretty much adapt this stuff. Yeah, in just 3 episodes, they pretty much adapted this much of the book. And as of right now, for the book, they have this much left. Which I would not be surprised if they finished adapting this book in just 2 episodes. Yes, there is, officially... Oh, by the way, here's the outfit Aisha wears. They show her in this image. This is the outfit she wears in the anime right now. So, they have technically, 2.5 chapters left over the book. So, I do think they're going to finish adapting Chapter 5 next week, along with possibly adapting Chapter 6. And my personal theory is that they could probably finish out this book probably by 42. Which, I think that's perfectly fine. Taking about 5 or 6 episodes of this book. I think the book take the least amount of time is probably book 13. Given the fact that this book is under 200 pages. It is by far the shortest book of the whole series. I would not be shocked if, in fact, this book only took up 2 or 3 episodes. You're probably thinking, why would this book take 3 episodes? Because this book is 180 pages. It's really short. It is by far a really quick book to go through. Book 14 is probably the reason why the season's not going to be so long. But we're going to find out more as the episodes go on. And we're only 3 episodes in. Yeah, we're only 3 episodes in so far. And so far doing really good. So, there's that. So, that's it for Cycle of You. Stay tuned. Next video, which will be One Piece. After that, be Boruto and probably a couple comic cores after that. Okay, next video. Bye.